What does pursuing your passion look like? Now, you'll find no shortage of content online encouraging people to follow a dream, to pursue a passion. But what does that mean? What does that journey look like? Are these people happy? And what advice do these inspired individuals have for everyday people like you and me? These are some of the questions that I hope to answer in this Beyond the Desk mini series. Welcome to Deskless Dreamers. Our first interview takes us into the life of Khalil Muhammad, an LA native, an old friend who happens to be pursuing a career in acting. This is his story.
I started really taking it seriously. I would say last year. I started taking classes back in January, so 1 year ago today, um, which is extremely helpful for me. One, just to uh, expand my knowledge and repertoire just with acting itself. Really, just kind of work on that skill. But then also just helping get like my confidence back. Because I used to be very into acting when I was younger, and in like high school and stuff like that. Before I went to Pepperdine. Um, but yeah, I think just getting that practice just in like a safe environment. It's also more like theater focused too, and
Right.
uh, which is I really like because that's one what I used to do, and I feel like that's where you learn the most about acting. Because theater, it's like you can't say cut and try it again and do it a bunch of times. Like once you go, you just got to go, whether you mess up or not. You really just have to make it. Even if you make a mistake, it's got to be a believable mistake. You know what I mean? So I think that's really how you grow the most, and it's been really fun.
Now, similar to myself, Khalil graduated from Pepperdine University and he jumped into a full time career. During a downturn in the market, he received some unfortunate news. And it's during this low point where he rediscovered his love for cinematography.
I was telling the story because it was at the time it was like the I felt like the worst moment in my life because we had gotten hired to basically promote a jazz festival that this guy wanted to put on in Mexico.
That sounds
And
kind of
part of
cool.
my
Yeah.
job, it sounded awesome. And then part of my job was creating some ads and stuff. So I wrote like a radio ad that they actually used like on the radio out here to help promote it for a while. And the guy was so cool. And it was just like an old guy who really just wanted to throw a bunch of money at this. So he was like, okay, I'll give you a solid percentage on commission for every ticket that you sell. And that included like sales from like that radio ad too. So it
Oh,
was going to
interesting.
be a decent amount of money there. They would have paid for me to go to Mexico and stay there the whole time and then like work the event too. So I would have gotten a free trip to Mexico. But then literally I think it was like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before uh, COVID happened. And at first they were like, I don't know, this will be 2 weeks. And then the entire world shut down for, like a couple of years.
Right.
Um, and then not long after that, I got laid off from the job because PR was, a big part of it. But another big part of it was like event planning, like planning events for our clients. And so with no real events, there wasn't a whole lot, to make money off of. So yeah, I got laid off, and then uh, I kind of bounced around, but did like a ton of different jobs. I was literally trying to find whatever I could, because I just like signed a lease on my apartment too. So for a while, I was a door-to-door internet salesman. I was like a marketing assistant at like a firm for a little bit, but I started getting more into like film and stuff. Um, through my friend Billy. So that summer, someone we also went to school with,
Yeah.
that summer he was shooting his short film that he wrote and was directing and acting into. And one of the other jobs I had was I was a COVID compliance officer. So on like sets and like live events and stuff, sorry, there's someone who has to make sure they're following all the rules for COVID and stuff. And to make it like a SAG production, they needed one of those. So I was like, hey, I'll help you out. And then I basically ended up producing the short film too, because I was just helping him out on everything I could with that, just because I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. I wanted to learn as much as I could with it. Um, so at first I knew I wanted to work in film in the industry, but at first I thought more behind the scenes. It's because I like the way it's very team oriented. You know, it's very cool when everyone's working together to like produce like some art like that. Um, but yeah, it wasn't until uh, later on, my mom was the one who really pushed me to take some classes. She has some friends who are in the industry as well. One of them was like a teacher. I'd done like a couple of just like workshops with him here and there. Um, and then I tried to do a class for a couple of months, but it was online. So that was really weird too, making that adjustment and how like everything's like just self tapes and stuff now.
Right.
But then yeah, back in a year ago to like a year ago this month, back in January, Billy put me onto the acting class he was in, which was back in person and was actually just a ton of fun. And like I said, as I felt more comfortable, got my skill set up, got my confidence up, then I started just submitting a lot more auditions and stuff online, taking stuff where I can. And I've mostly just done a couple like influencer videos and like a commercial. That's pretty much it for right now. But I've still just been like applying every week, just to try and find something.
Now, I find it very interesting how, in times of turmoil and change, something in our minds has a way of reaching out and guiding us to a more fulfilling purpose. For Khalil, getting fired was the catalyst that he needed for rediscovering his passion for cinematography. After rediscovering this passion, though, he's left with one question. In the creation of this piece of cinema, what is my part to play? And why?
I think like when you're behind the scenes, like say you're a director, producer, AD, cinematographer, whatever, I feel like there's just a little bit more added pressure because you're kind of picking the pieces and telling everyone where they need to go and what they need to do, um, which is extremely important and it is fun, in its own way. But I think that I do enjoy, and maybe it was just because it was a little bit easier to really just focus on myself. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
inside of this big group project, um, one of the ways I could help it do well is just to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, as opposed to worrying about what everybody else needs to do. Um, and it's also just a good way to express myself too. Um, and I think, yeah, just helping myself just get more comfortable, even just like interacting with people, you know. Um, yeah, man, I think it's a lot of fun. And it's a way to like get outside of myself as well. So putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else and like their psychology, what they're thinking and feeling in that moment is interesting too. Um, and I kind of like apply that to like just how I interact with everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can try to understand like a person more if I've played someone similar to them. You know what I mean? So
As you can see, for Khalil, acting is not only a passion, but it's also a lens through which he views the world. This further drives his dedication to his craft. Now, to be a functioning adult in today's society, though, there is a minimum cost associated with our basic human necessities. These are things like food, water, shelter, and if you make enough money, taxes. So, considering that dreams often don't pay when you're starting out, how does one meet these needs? And how do these needs affect the pursuit of your dreams? What did this look like for Khalil? Let's find out.
I'm sure living in LA also isn't cheap. So how has all that been for you? I know you're working as a bartender behind the scenes.
yeah, um, I mean, yeah, it's definitely tough. I would be lying if I said it was easy. Um, I think yeah, bartending I like is a lot of fun too. The good thing about it is it's a little bit more flexible of a work schedule. Um, like as long as I give them enough time, like I can, switch with somebody or take a day off and they can find somebody to fill my spot, which is really good in case like I get like a job or something last minute.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it's tough because I'm working another job. I just started like coaching football after school once a week for like elementary school kids too. But it's just kind of like like I want to do it, and it's like this is just what is required. You know what I mean? Um, some days are definitely harder than others. Some days are a lot easier than others. When you're balancing so much, um, something tends to lack. Something takes the hit. You know what I mean? Of not being as good as it could be.
Right.
So I just at least when that happens, uh, try to move it around so not the same thing, gets hurt by that every week.
Yeah, I
Uh,
feel you.
but no, yeah, I mean, it's just I said it. I think I'm getting better at it. It's definitely not easy, but I do feel myself getting better at it. It's just force myself to be more disciplined with my schedule and holding myself accountable and all of those fun things. Um, yeah,
Right.
difficult but doable is how I would describe
Yeah.
it. Difficult but doable.
Are there days you think about going back to your job doing something similar to like you were before in advertisements?
I do sometimes, yeah, because I do kind of miss that consistent work schedule. I think I have started looking back into things, not necessarily in advertising and marketing per se. It just depends. If I found like a really, really good job at a place that I really just kind of like vibe with their philosophy and all of the people that work there, I wouldn't put it past me. But as for right now, I really want to. I mean, I'm in my 20s. This is the time when they say to just kind of like go for it, balls to the wall. By the time I'm 30, I'm really in the same spot. Then maybe I'll start looking back into the
Yep.
those
Amen,
marketing jobs.
brother. Amen.
Yeah.
It's my hypothesis that people are more fulfilled when their livelihood is in line with something that they're passionate about. Many individuals who are much smarter than I am discuss this concept of willingness to endure hardship. People are willing to go through great lengths of pain and suffering in the pursuit or in the defense of something that they believe in or care about deeply. It's my opinion that fulfillment is the result of enduring those same hardships and seeing the results of your work. Now, if we look at Khalil and his work in advertising versus his pursuit of a career in acting, what would he say? Let's find out.
Is definitely been more fulfilling. Like I said, some days are definitely easier than others. I'm not gonna act like every day I wake up, I'm going in there like fuck yes, we're doing it again. You know what I mean? It comes and it goes. But I would say overall for sure. Excuse me. Overall for sure. Uh, especially when I see myself moving closer towards like that goal that I want. It's pretty like reassuring for those moments. And dude, bartending can get tough. you know, I've had some nights where I'm just like, dude, I just want to walk out of here and never come back.
I'm
Um,
sure you also get some people who aren't the easiest people to deal with.
this an understatement, dude. I've had to break up fights. I've had people throw glass at me.
Oh boy.
People just fucking screaming and shit at me. It's I've been through a lot of it. Um, but overall, I think I'm lucky too because the place where I work, everyone is really nice and supportive. So like we're kind of like we commiserate, like we're all going through this together.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and like I said, I love the flexible schedule. So those weeks where it's really starting to drain on me, I might only do like 2 or 3 days at the bar, and then maybe just focus on doing some self tapes when I can. Uh,
Right.
and then yeah, then there are days where I'm just at the bar 7 days a week, and I'm not really doing anything else. It's taking up all my time. Um, but yeah, it's just it's a balancing act for sure.
If you're watching this video, you may have a passion, a desire to do something different than what you're doing right now, but you don't know where to start. You don't know if this passion is going to lead to something more fulfilling than what you're leaving behind. Now, many of us, this is the case. What does Khalil have to say? And what would he recommend to us?
It's something I've always struggled with. They always say you should do what you love. Um, but you can ask the people who even love what they do and they don't love it every day, you know?
Right.
So I think that there is uh, just a certain level of unsatisfaction that I feel like I would have before I like quit a job. And I definitely have. Like I said, I was a door-to-door internet salesman during COVID. Horrible. It was a horrible job. Nobody
I'm
was
sure
happy.
that's the last thing that people wanted during COVID is some
Exactly. People
stranger
did
showing up
not
at their
want to talk
door.
to us. Just walking around all fucking day, like literally from morning to evening, just walking around knocking on doors. That was horrible. I did it for like a month and I said never again.
Yeah, that's a tough gig.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely levels to it. I'm not gonna tell everybody like if you hate your job, just quit right there on the spot. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I think it's if you are not happy what you're doing, then don't stop looking for what it is that you feel like will make you happy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if you have a 9 to 5, like I'm very pro just getting out and trying something, even just like once. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be like a big thing. With like acting, I mean, yeah, you could try like taking a class or something to get your feet wet, but it's also something if you just want to try doing like a self tape on your own, you can do that too. Like it's very accessible nowadays.
So something that Khalil touched on in that last clip that I want to expand on is the availability of information. We live in a day and age where everything is one click away. Whatever you want to do, there's likely a video, an article, or even a guide, a course that talks about it. So, what's standing in the way of taking that first step? Oftentimes, it's you. And it's not an easy thing to overcome, as we'll see next.
It's always scary trying something new, but you just got to say fuck it sometimes, and that's especially in this industry. Fuck it is your motto because you have to be very secure in yourself when you put yourself out there, which is terrifying. And if you don't get it, you just got to be like, you know what? That's cool. Maybe this just wasn't for me. Or maybe they don't know what they're talking about. I'll just have to try again the next time. Which is tough and tiring, but valuable for sure.
Nice, man. Well, that's all I got, man. If there's anything that you'd like to promote or say to the people watching this video, the floor is yours.
Um, Man, I mean, thanks for having me on. I think the big things I would say were, yeah, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and try new things. Um, Especially if you don't like what you're doing, just keep messing around and try different things until you find something that piques your interest. Um, and also, if you want to buy some chewing gum, you can go to chewschwing.com and get you some chewing gum.
I'll leave a link for it in the description.
Okay, for sure. Thanks, dude. And if you're looking for an actor in LA, you know where to find one. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on, dude. This is cool.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on, Khalil, taking the time to do this interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this first edition of Deskless Dreamers. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check out some of our other contents. For now, you'll see me experiment with the format for this series a little bit as I implement some of my ideas. But be sure to let me know what your thoughts on the style of video is below. And as always, I'll catch you next time in my vlog series where we're in Seattle.